just inside my new Grand Design 303 RLS, and just inside the front door of it is a cabinet, and inside this cabinet you've got basically the control area of many options in the RV, including the tank. This is the gray-black freshwater tanks and their status, and you can see here they operate by giving you a 1/3, 2/3 full or empty, and that does that for each one of these. And that is an issue for me, because once you get below a third of your freshwater tank, it starts to read empty. So I could have almost a third left, and until it goes over the third sensor, it's not going to read a third, it's going to read empty. And I just don't like that, and I had fixed this problem with what I'm going to show you today. These other things, there's an awning and my slides and the gas and hot water pump and all that are for the hot water tank is gas and electric, and the water pump itself for running water instead of using outside. But all this is the main operation of the fifth wheel. But today the focus is going to be on this piece right here. We are going to change this system to more or less a plug-and-play version, and let me take you over to see what I've got. Here you can see that this is the SeaLevel 2 system, and inside that box right there comes the replacement that I need, which is a battery, freshwater, gray water, the Galley tank, which is also gray water for the kitchen, and the black or sewer for the potty. And each one of these strips here are a adhesive backed circuit board, flexible circuit board, and it monitors down to the percent and comes up on this display here. Okay, now what I want to do is we have to remove this little piece here, which requires taking this off, which I've removed the screws. And you can see back there that there's little clips, and I can't do this at the same time I'm videoing, so I will remove or push those little clips down and pull that piece out. I wanted to show you this here. This piece right here was plugged into the bottom down here down at the very bottom there, and that's the sending units going to the controller there. Okay, we got the little piece out. It was right there, and this thing is, by the way, is plastic. I expected it to be metal. It was not. It is plastic. And looking at the wiring, you got the little plug right there, and it's sending off to a red and a white, which come down to this, which is the electric. We can see that the SeaLevel 2 control board does fit in the hole, but it needs to be positioned carefully because it can go down and cover the words down here or the hole up here, and there's just not a whole lot of room to play with, so I'll have to do that very carefully. Okay, look at the back of the previous sensor control board. You can see red is the battery or power, white is the ground, and the various colors that go to the different tanks. Now with this, on SeaLevel it says to hook black to ground, which I did there. That's a temporary, I still need to tape it. And red's hooked to the battery. It also goes to those two over there, which is the water heater button. And then the blue is attached only to the blue here. Now in the other one, all the other colors go to the other tanks, but when I get outside, the main, it's going to be all in line to the blue, and that's only the blue. So the sensors themselves, you've only got two. You've got the blue that'll go to every single one, and you've got the black that'll go to the white ground in the coach on the tanks themselves. I'm not sure why this isn't focusing. It's weird. So when I get out to the tanks, that's what I'm going to do. Now this thing is smart enough to determine, once you cut these tabs here, which tank it's reading. So we'll get into that in a minute. Alright, here's the clip, and I did mount the SeaLevel into the plastic here, but I'm not going to plug this up until I get done with the sensors. And this is what it looks like mounted. And you can see down here I left enough room where I could read. And it looks fairly good. The only compromise is I had to cut a little bit of an angle here so that screw would fit in. And hopefully it'll be fine. But I think it looks pretty good. And I'm pleased with it. Okay, the driver's side of the fifth wheel, or the bedroom, where the bedroom slide is. If you carry it right down in between the two wheels is basically where the freshwater tank is. And I will tell you, it is not easy to get to. I will see if I can show you. With the flashlight there. There you go. Right there you see the blue. That's an overflow. It goes to the top. And the opaque, whitish, off-whitish looking is the freshwater tank. It's only about 7-8 inches high, which is okay, but this right there frame gets in the way. So to get the strip on there, I'm going to have to put it behind the blue hose, because it can't go up to the right of that, because that's where the dummy lights are. So let me see if I can bring you in here. Let's see, there's the hose, one of the dummies. And I've got to get in there, sand it, and somehow get a strip on that. It's going to be fun. On the tank, if you'll remember, there were 3 wires going to the dummy sensors, and one's 1/3, one's 2/3, and one's full. And then all of those connect to, I guess, some kind of anode or something electronic, which in turn connects to one power, more or less power line. And then that connects, this is just a connector, and that connects to this colored wire. The last thing you have on the tank is the ground, and it's also a sensor in the tank, and I don't know if there's actually one inside the tank, probably, but it also connects, comes down and connects here to the white. And the way Grand Design did it, they used a harness of, looks like 5 wires here, and 3 of those are useless. So you had the white one that connected here, and you had this one that connected here. So in essence, there's only 2 wires, and that's all you need for the sensor. So this sensor here is for the freshwater, and I left all tabs on, which is what you're supposed to do for the freshwater. And the blue will go to this wire, like that, and the black will go to the white, and that's ground. And that's all you need to do after you affix this to the tank. And there's the assembly installed, and you can see the white and blue wires, and I got it duct taped off to the right of the sensor. Okay, I've got the freshwater tank sending unit on, and I've put all the screws back, like this one here that supports the underbelly. And there was foam sealed around this freshwater tank dump over here, and on the wires for the brake here, and where else? Right here, the overflow from the freshwater tank. But I had to undo that to pull the belly down so I could access the tank. So I'm going to, I've already gotten some foam to seal that back up. While I was here, I went ahead and took an old sewer pipe. This is from my tote that I've never used, and I attached it here. I kind of cut the wire and clamped it down here, and it's attached to the frame here. That way I can do a water dump out without trying to finagle something on this and dumping all on the ground directly underneath the axle. I'm going to try to do this while I'm filming. This is great stuff, Pond and Stone, and it's the foam replacement. And I will, well, it ain't pretty, but it's there. I will trim it up a little bit after it dries thoroughly. So resealed, no bugs. There is the galley tank. It is, sensors there, it is just towards the back of the steps, barely. You can see the steps right here, and that's the beginning. There's the valve for it. And this one's going to be a booger because there's a lip here that also fills, and the top full sensor is up here on the top of the lip. So this is going to present a problem for how I place this on here. I can't place it here because the metal is in the way, and if I could slide it in there, it says in SeaLevel instructions not to put it within 2 inches of any metal. So that's not a good deal. Just south, actually not south, but just forward towards the front of the RV, you have the 2 long tanks. The one closest to the door side is this one here, is the black. I know because I operated the valve. And the other one is the main gray tank. I also want to say here that this galley tank, it is pretty long itself. It goes all the way across the bottom of the RV over there. So all these tanks are pretty thin, not very tall, but long. Alright, I'm at the galley tank. And you see the galley tank here. It goes from here, and then it goes up, and there's part of the tank that rests on the support is also filled with water, I imagine, because one of the sensors, if you look right here, is in that lip, that support lip. So it's got to be a dual purpose lip for the support and hold fluids for the fill, which is not good for me. The only place I could find to put this sensor is where it's at, and it is so close to this metal bar that I had to pry it, wedge it, this braking bar between it, and then put the sensor on. And I've already wired it. The problem with this is that, out of breath. The problem with this is that this sensor is not supposed to be within 2 inches. It says 1 inch of anything metal, and it is. So I created a talk to, actually, Garnet Enterprise is the ones who make these SeaLevel 2s, and they said to try to put some rubber between it, but not something that would push up against the sensor and mess up the readings. I did do a test with just this and aluminum foil, and it didn't read correctly, so I went back to the thought of using this side. The problem is it's got to be a minimum of 4.5 inches, and that's not. Where those sensors are, there's no way around it. I have to put the sensor here. Okay, I ended up putting a spacer here, and it seems to be keeping it enough distance away from this metal bar to read on the galley tank. Now over here on the other ones, I put the sensor to the left of the dump valve. You can hear the water running this because I'm testing the tanks and the accuracy of this now. And all the sensors are wired with one blue wire. And the radio signals and the way you cut the tops of the sensors tells you which one to read. And there's one on the other side over there, same thing. So I am pretty pleased. These tanks were a little difficult. You can see here, this one's coming off a little bit right here. And that's because the tank's shaped funny. All 4 of the tanks are shaped funny. Alright, that's the SeaLevel 2 monitor system put in place. That's the battery power. I don't have the 120 hooked up right now, so it's reading the current battery, which is a little low. The Freshwater sitting at 38%, the gray 88, and the Galley and black are both at 69. Now, you can see here, yep, after about 5 seconds it goes off, but if you push it twice, you'll see a little dot next to it, it'll stay on for 5 minutes. That way, if you're filling or something, then you can see it for 5 minutes. You can watch it go up or down or whatever. So that's it on the SeaLevel 2 mod.